There are so many questions about really happened, and it's upsetting as we hear these things. Parents are just devastated and frustrated, and they are accusing some of negligence, police.
So when we talk about that, we bring in our legal expert, Whitney Traylor, to talk about the idea of a legal case against the district and police. Generally, because obviously the facts are still very fluid at this point. We don't know everything we need to know. Might there be civil action that you see coming here against police and against police department?
I would expect that there will be civil action against all the parties. Now, how successful it will be, that's going to be a question, and a lot of that is based on recent precedent with just, for example, Sandy Hook and in Parkland, because there's been some very difficult federal statutes that prevent people from really going after gun manufacturers, and then there's sovereign immunity for the schools and that types of thing. So generally, people have not been successful about going after anybody.
We've been talking a lot about immunity from George Floyd on, about the immunity that police departments have, the Aurora Police Department as well. This comes up all the time for things that maybe a police officer did. This is a case about what they didn't do. Is there immunity for that as well, as far as you know?
Well, under the statute, yes, I think there probably is immunity, but they're definitely going to challenge it because there's exceptions. And we don't have, you make a great point, most of these cases are when someone made a split-second decision and shot or that kind of thing. Here, there's not a lot of precedent where they didn't do anything, but there was a 1990 case in Illinois where the police prevented people from jumping in to save a boy who was drowning because it was required that it be the police or the fire department.
Right.
Well, the boy died, and there the court allowed them to actually pursue the case for failing to take action. So here what will be important will be the facts that come out and why there was this delay, because I'm hearing multiple reasons why some may be justified and some seem pretty weak.
And everything is so difficult to hear, and we're just people that are interested, much less being close to that community. I sometimes worry about, though, when you have a legal case, then a family gets so wrapped up and they might not get what they want at the end of the day when you file a lawsuit. And it sounds like police in this case are also using a legal loophole by saying, we don't have to tell you everything. I think that's really hard. No,
it's really hard. That's a great point, and I think the couple that was just interviewed really exemplified that you're hearing these different things, and there were police saying don't go in when some parents wanted to go in, and you're hearing why this happened, was the door unlocked, and that really actually goes to damages, because there's in addition to the loss of your child is something called intentional or negligent infliction of emotional distress, because these kind of facts that come out could really actually exacerbate that. And they are using a loophole. It's called, I think they call it the dead suspect statute, where they don't have to disclose public documents, disclose them to the public when there's an ongoing criminal investigation, even if the suspect has been killed, as in this case.
Both of you used the term loophole, though, and just by using that term, it sounds like something that shouldn't exist.
Right.
And that clearly taints whatever they're using as far as a statute or any part of the law.
Yeah.
If it's a loophole, it should be fixed.
Yeah. Some people are arguing that, and we're looking at, when you look at what happened in Parkland and Sandy Hook, what happened in Sandy Hook, even though there were these statutes and these situations that make it really difficult to pursue it, they were going on somewhat of an exception, which is if the guns were marketed in an inappropriate way, so marketed to children, or the lone wolf kind of mentality narrative, and that's why Remington actually settled for $75 million.
With Sandy Hook.
In Sandy Hook, exactly. So even though they said we may not be liable, we may be able to fight this, we're still going to put money on the table, and now they're in bankruptcy proceedings.
Finally, if this is being pursued, I imagine you might see, and you might start to see it in other ways, the different officers who are standing in that hallway start to fracture as far as the stories they tell, what was, what didn't happen.
What they knew.
That's a great point, and that's why you have things like the police accountability bill, where officers can actually look at each other and say, wait a second, this isn't what happened. But yeah, that really speaks to the issue of training for one, but the second issue, when people are saying, well, the police can't catch a break if they don't do anything, if they do something, but a lot of professions have these kind of standards. Nurses, doctors, lawyers. Right. These are professional standards.
This one though is such a horrible story to try to determine the legal positions in it, because it is still, in fact, what it was, and what it was a day of horror. Whitney, I know we will get the chance to talk more about this, but as always, we appreciate you being here.
Sure. Good to be here.
We'll be right back.